Talib Ahmed Bensouda. In the first two segments of my conversation with him, we looked at his term as mayor. Now we're going to be talking to him about his political ambitions. Let's start with your departure from. I mean, you described Adama Barrow's relationship with the UDP as breakaway. Let's say your departure, or would you still want to describe that as a breakaway or a divorce? Okay. Yeah. What were the irreconcilable differences between you and the UDP that led to your exit?
Well, I think, first of all, I'd like to thank Darboe. He's a father figure to me, party leader before. We have a good relationship. As I always reiterate, I don't think there's anything that's gone south with our relationship. When I decided to leave, I went to him personally to inform him that I would withdraw from the candidacy and I will resign as the organizing secretary. But, you know, he's an elderly person. My words of departure was, you know, no matter where we head in life, I would always consider him a father figure and would always respect him. And I promise to keep it that way. But, you know, the UDP for me became a party where it was not remaking itself. It was not evolving into the times. And I did my best while I was there to bring big changes, to innovate, to rebrand, to sort of, you know, adapt to the times. But of course, there was a lot of resistance, and some that came out publicly. Some accused me of, you know, entrenching myself or selling myself, etc. And it became a toxic environment for the most part. So at some point, I decided that either I would lead and be able to bring about the changes that I believe in, or I would depart, do the courageous thing and the hard thing, which is start something from scratch with like-minded people and build a political platform that would mirror my principles, values, and my vision for the country. And that is what the Unite Movement for Change is about. Of course, many people, especially those in the UDP, didn't like it. They got angry. They felt like I turned my backs on them. And I did not. I said, if I turn my backs on you, I would join government. I would do what people do for self-interest, which is leave an opposition party and go to the ruling party for perks, position, or benefits. We've seen people do it over and over again. I did not do that. Or everybody who came with me had offers to go to the ruling party. Of course, the ruling party would love to have us. They would love to accumulate.
Were you ever approached? Were you ever approached?
Of course. We've been approached, not just this time, but before that and several times over. And especially when we announced our departure, we were approached. But we said, look, we have a vision for the country, but we have to first change the country's politics. You look at the politics of the day, it's personality driven, it's character assassinations, people attacking each other. It's like I said, there's no servant leader concept, it's self-perpetuation and the worshipping of leaders. Everything that is wrong with Gambian politics, we said we should try and change first before we can become a political entity, because it's all about the fundamentals. There's limited integrity. People come on a mic and make claims or make promises they know they will not fulfill. They come and allege.
Is Talib one of those people who would come to a microphone and make promises?
Actually, that's one of my brands. I don't promise. I lay out my plans and I try to deliver. And if it works, I say it did. If it did not, I would say it did not. So these are things we want to instill in politics, being integrity, transformation and innovation and bringing new thinking. We want to discuss politics of issues, concepts, visions, etc. Today, for the most part, if you look at the developed world, you mentioned the Labour Party, Conservative Party, Republican, Democrat. Even as an African, you can name 3 things they're for and 3 things they're against. But in our local politics, party identities are not around concepts or principles or pros, things they are pro and things they are not for. and we want to make sure everybody knows what UMC is about and what we are for.
Okay, we'll talk about the UMC in greater detail.
So the last principle, of course, is equality. So one of the things holding back Gambia is factionalism, nativism, tribal politics. These are things that we want to get rid of. So we talk about equality, inclusivity, not allowing anybody to talk about tribe in our platform.
How did you deal with the issue of tribe when you were still in the UDP, and the UDP, long before you joined it, long before you became one of the poster boys, politically speaking, was always associated with tribalism and just being intolerant of others who did not belong to a certain tribe, in this case Mandinka?
Well, look, all parties are, basically. All parties in Gambia...
So NPP is tribalist?
Yeah, of course.
GDC is tribalist?
I wouldn't use the word tribalist, so I wouldn't say parties are tribalist. I would say they mostly are subscribed by a majority tribe.
Who, for instance, is the majority tribe in GMC, Gambia Moral Congress, of a certain Mr. Mai Ahmed Fati?
Well, look, I think there are substantive political parties which have built enough support base that one could...
GMC is not one of those substantive parties.
Well, let's be honest. No disrespect to my party or the GMC, but it's not seen as a major party in the Gambia.
By the way, that was NAWEC, yes. One of the problems waiting for you if you ever became president of this country.
Exactly. But basically, I'm not saying that parties are tribalist. I don't think any party sets out to be a tribalist party, to be honest. And UDP is not a tribalist party.
Okay, so associating UDP with tribal politics was always wrong.
Yes, so it's not a tribalist party. I wouldn't associate it with tribal politics. I don't think any of the parties are tribalist. I think what happens is that Gambia is about personality politics. It's about identity politics.
If Peter Gomez became a politician, you expected Manjagos to,
of course, so
rally behind them.
This is the issue. So, depending on what tribe the party leader is, naturally, they would reach out to their tribesmen and, the Mbokas.
We even have it in music. A certain musician is from a certain tribe. People say, well, people of that tribe tend to gravitate only towards
but I think
that music.
I think making it clear at the fundamentals of forming your party that this is not about tribe, and don't come to me if it's about tribe. Come to me based on issues and the consistent pushing back against it, the consistent communication towards it, the deliberate action of ensuring that your tribe is a culmination of Gambians. So I heard MC Cham say to a Senegalese, I think 2 days ago, in Senegal, when you ask somebody what they are, they tell you, I'm a Senegalese. In Gambia, when you ask somebody what they are, they'll tell you, I'm this tribe or that tribe. So it's...
But not in the Gambia that I grew up in the 60s and 70s.
Exactly.
We were not talking in terms of
so this
I am this or that.
factionalism, this nativism, it all emerged from the new politics we are practicing and trying to gain dominance over another at all cost, and not being able to develop concepts and ideas, and not encouraging people to join you based on a vision. So it becomes about the personality of the person. And identity and tribe are so big in terms of how your personality is formed in the Gambia that one cannot graduate from it. So we, the new generation of politicians, or UMC as a new generation of a political party, is trying to move back to the era you're talking about, where it's about nation, where it's about how do we move as Africans. That's why we love when Pastef talks about Pan-Africanism, right? So it's the destiny of the black person in this world. We already face so many challenges because of the color of your skin or the color of your passport. Why add a tribal layer to give ourselves more challenges? I think we should be unified around the ancestry of Africans rather than be factionalist. So we are trying to evolve that in our politics. That's why we said the Unite movement is united for nation, integrity, transformation, and equality.
Fantastic. Yeah. Let's go back to pre-Unite movement for change. What triggered your decision to exit the UDP? Apparently was lawyer Usainu Darboe's decision to contest for the flag bearership of the UDP. Were you ever promised by him that you were being prepared for leadership?
Well, so I always say one thing, that what I've discussed with Usaino Darboe in her private capacity, I will always let be private. For two reasons. One, I think it is a reflection of one's character when you discuss issues behind closed doors and bring it out in public. Two, I think it has no bearing on Gambia. I mean, personal issues are personal issues. What is important for our country is to remain focused on the pressing concerns of Gambians. So for those two reasons, I promised that I would not engage into what was discussed behind closed doors. But certainly, a lot of things came out in public. I mean, we've seen, leaders in the party who came out publicly to castigate me, even on your platform, where they said I was the one causing division in the party because of my refusal to declare that I will not contest in 2026. So, like I said, it just became untenable. My presence there, being the person and politician I have become, because I evolved into a big politician in this country, and then I think there was just no room for me. And given the ideas I also wanted to bring into the party is a traditionalist party. It's a party that is heavily based on tradition and a certain way of doing things. And I am always trying to, test the waters. I am always trying to innovate and bring new ideas. And of course, there was resistance even with that, even when I was organizing secretary. So I think for many reasons culminated to my forming of my resolve that this would be my decision.
And I need you to clear this for me. You mentioned that you were approached by the ruling party, at least those in government,
right,
when you just announced your departure from UDP. There were rumors that actually the president received you at State House.
So I haven't seen the president, I think, since independence, February 18th. That's when I believe we saw each other.
When you were still a member of the UDP.
Yeah. So I think that's the last time I saw him in his physical form, and he saw me in my physical form. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know whether there's footage where we bumped into each other in public. But, I haven't seen the president. I have seen people from his cabinet. Of course, who... They
came over to you, or they asked you over?
Some came over to me,
and
of course they made the pitch, this is the platform, this is the best direction, this is, and all these things, which is natural in politics. I am not...
How could they have looked you in the eye after all the mudslinging between them, their party, and you, and even the personal attacks on you, and now want to convince you that, well, this is your new home?
So politics is a funny business. Even people who've sat on your platform have called me to convince me to join them. So
people like you, Dr. Cisse?
Well, I don't want to get into personalities.
He calls you this boy.
Anyway, so it's like it's a funny business. So for some, it's serious, and it's about the lives of people are in your hands. For others, it's a game. So a party like NPP is just, it's like dummy. It's like, how do I put my pieces together so I can just win this game? And that's how they behave, and that's how they talk. So a lot of the attacks they do is just part of the game. It's not true, and they know it. It's just to mudsling, to taint your opponent. So whatever they can do to win this chess game is what they do. And if they have fought you and cannot defeat you, they try to get you over, to make a star signing. So for me, politics is deeper than that. It's a very serious business. It's about values. It's about principles. It's about, your vision for the country and uplifting of others, especially the vulnerable. So if today NPP was about, how do we end poverty, let's say in Gambia by 2020.
They claim that's what they are about.
But, I don't see it. If that is their vision and their plan, for example, let's end poverty in Gambia by 2036, and this is the policies we're bringing, this is our plan, master plan, this is how we're going to do it, and there's serious steps. There's many things they could do that where people like me who just want this country to move, will be like, oh, okay, that's a serious
How about the president's promise of 100 million for 2,000 women?
So surely I think these are all, like I said, I've followed NPP for very long. They've been our opponents. I have been amidst them. I have sat with the president many occasions, many ministers. But I just see just like I said, it's like a chess platform of how they can maintain dominance, how they can entrench in power. But I don't see that it is about the people and uplifting the people. So for us, the movement is the solution, because everything we see that is wrong with political parties is what we are trying to instill in our movement, starting with the fundamentals. We have not even built a plan for the Gambia yet. What we are working on now, yesterday we were in a place for 4 hours about the party's constitution once we become a party. And for 1 hour there was an argument about whether the president and party leader of the party should be the automatic flag bearer of the party. Because many people were adamant that these are separate things. One thing we've all agreed is that the Secretary General and the party leader should not be the same person. And if a Secretary General now ever wants to apply to be the flag bearer of the party, they must resign as Secretary General. This is something that we've spent hours arguing yesterday. So we are trying to
But there's no conclusion on it yet.
Well, the conclusion now is that the Secretary General should be a person who will never be the party leader or president of the country. The party leader could be a president of the country, but it's not an automatic position. If you are a party leader, you can apply for a flag bearer. If you are Secretary General and want to apply for the flag bearer, you must resign as Secretary General.
Interesting.
So these are all innovations, not completely new, because we've seen examples even in neighboring African countries that we are trying to bring. These are fundamentals that will actually guide even the behavior of people when they get into power. So to get a government correct, you must get self-governance correct. You know, before you want to go outside and fix problems outside, fix problems inside your house. Have the right attitude inside before you want to change attitudes outside. So these are all the things that we have learned from mistakes, also looking at innovations and adapting it to our situation. So that's where we are. And this is how we will build our manifesto. This is how we will build the candidates' proposals. So one thing we are saying, the manifesto of the party, which is an institution, will not be the same as the candidates' proposals for the country. So the candidate's plan is that person's plan. It must adhere to our manifesto and our constitution, but it doesn't have to be our manifesto, because candidates are individuals who also have their own aspirations for the country, as far as there is no direct contradiction to our manifesto.
And when do you plan to formally register the movement? And will it stay a movement, or will it transition into a party?
Another big debate yesterday. I wish you were in the meeting and just recorded the conversations. So there was a debate about whether we would keep the name, whether we would change the name, emblems, colors, whether it would be a movement or a party. And the conclusion across the board was that movements, parties are also can be movements. So we just saw Mandani's election victory in New York City. Addressing his supporters, he said, this movement got me into power. PASTEF was a movement. PPP 1965 election was a movement. You know, so a party could push a movement to get into power. So we believe it's going to be both. We believe once we register as a party, which would be institutionalized, the movement for change will still be existing.
What's the timeline for that registration as a party?
We've started. So as we speak, we are opening our bureaus across the country, already identified, contracts signed, and we will be doing our bureau opening ceremonies throughout the months of December. We have started the administrative process of registering Unite as a party. So the name sticks. It's still going to be called Unite. The party is called Unite. That's it. United for Nation, Integrity, Transformation, Equality.
So moves to build the base of the party nationwide have already started. How difficult have you found it as, you know, a movement rather than an established party?
So I just read somebody wrote an article yesterday and said the Unite is not even a party yet, and there's still already a local grassroots presence, you know. So like I said, it's better than we expected. We thought maybe it would be 6 months down the line before we could build a substantive base, but we already have a substantive base, because one thing I have said, there is no leader. I initiated. There's no positions. We only have a spokesperson to have clarity in our conversations.
Who was on this program?
Yes, and he's doing a brilliant job. Everybody is calling me and telling me. So basically what we say, take ownership. I mean, these are the fundamentals. Integrity, transformation, equality. You believe in it, it's yours. Go and run with it. And because of that, people are creating their own platforms. People are creating their own interim structures, etc. And it's spreading like wildfire. I am told every day that a group exists or a group, and I don't even know where these groups are coming from. So people have really taken ownership. So just like movement should be, it should be for the masses and belongs to the masses. And that is exactly what is happening.
And people will look at you and you say there's no leader, but naturally talk about Unite and they will say, Party Talib. That's what everybody says.
I really don't like that.
What
every time I say it, I say we must divorce personalities to political platforms. And one thing I always insist on saying, yes, if time for presidency application comes, I am hiding no, I will apply. But I certainly don't want it to be an automatic process. I don't want people to feel that, oh, this is the leader by and force. I think that would be just repeating what we've seen over and over in other political parties. Because one thing we've seen, Uncle Peter, is all the parties that ever existed in Gambia, once the leader goes, the party collapses. Because it was never a party. It was just a vehicle for one person.
Then you're giving a good excuse to Adam Barrow when he said he couldn't leave the stage yet, and that's why this third term controversy, goes on. Because once he leaves, his NPP is going to go under.
So that's probably one of the worst things I have ever heard as a justification for why a leader wanted to continue.
Well, you just said that usually when the leader moves on,
so
the
that's what
party
I'm saying, to prevent a future president from making the same position, taking the same position as to why he wants to go for a third term, is to set up your party correctly. There is no justification, no reason why the president has to go for a third term after everything Gambia has been through, after everything that has been said, and according to global standards and norms. I think by now, and I've said this on this program before, I just saw the reel the other day, if President Adama Barrow left in 2026 and allowed for new breed of leaders in his party to take over, that would be the single-handed greatest legacy any president has ever left in the Gambia.
Is it too late for him?
It is not too late for him. And I believe if he did it, he would probably be remembered as the best.
This is good advice you're giving him in good faith.
Good faith.
Do you think he will listen to you?
Well, I wouldn't say he would listen to me. Maybe somebody would play this, and I hope. But I keep repeating it.
He gets to hear this program.
Yes,
I'm sure this bit will be played to him over and over.
I think that would be great for him. It would be great for the country. And I believe he would be celebrated. I mean, there's, of course, many opinions as to what he did wrong, what he did right, etc. But I think this would stand out as that centerpiece that would seal him as somebody who really transformed Gambia in its true self politically.
So you're described, or the Unite is described as the fastest growing party. And that's understandable. Political platform. So it's because it targets the youth who form the majority of the population. Where does that leave the Uncle Peters, even, the Ami Bensoudas? I mean, do they have a place in Unite?
Of course. So I think this is, we don't target the youth per se. We just have natural liking from the youth. I think they like it because it's youth-led for the most part. They like it because it speaks about the future in the way they want to hear it. They like it because it's not about self-perpetuation or cultivism or just having a faction you want to impose on people. They actually hear our genuine arguments as to how we can uplift Gambians, and they're the future. They will be the adults. They are going to be the uncles and the grandpas, and they feel like nobody's watching out for that future. But this future we are talking about is for all of us. I mean, if you're old, you have a future. If you're middle-aged, you have a future. And our goals involve short, medium term, and long term. And what we want to see is immediate impact for everybody. So it's an inclusive movement for all. It's not about age. It's not about gender. It's not about whether you're able or disabled. It is for all Gambians who wish for a prosperous country. So though youths are the majority and they seem more inclined to want to join the movement, the older folk usually are stuck in their ways, and they're already affiliated to something. But we are even starting to break some of their will.
Okay.
And we've seen in households where youths are beginning to convince their parents that this is the right way. So I get to talk to these elderly folk. Just last week I visited one at their parlor, and after I spoke, they said, Talib.
So what did you say? It's the messaging targeting us that I want to hear about. Yes, you talk about the future. I will hear the camera woman, Rohi here, the sound technician. Yes, everything about them is about the future. I'm 63. I don't think I have another 63 years to live, in this earth. So what's the messaging for me? Because mine is a matter of here and now.
You're 63, but you have at least 20, 30 years to live. So.
Amen.
We pray for you. Yeah. So you have a future. Yeah, in good health, of course. So basically, what I say to the elder folk is that there's one thing every old person knows, or older person knows, even if they choose to deny it, is that Gambian politics is broken. And most elder folk believe that nothing is going to change, even if the politics or the leader changes. They believe it. Even the people they're supporting, they believe those people can't change anything.
True.
To a certain degree, they're just beholden, or they're just used to following that person, or they feel like they need to repay somebody. And sometimes it's just about feeling part of some party. But it's not about whether you believe that that party would change the status quo. So how we break that is that to show them that politics can work if practiced correctly. Politics can work if the fundamentals are right. And to affirm to them that, look, this is not about me. When you are joining, don't join me. Join the concept and the idea. When you're joining, take ownership. So basically, these are arguments about how we believe we can change the politics of the Gambia. And one thing, Uncle Peter, is I am somebody who recognizes the challenges we have economically, and the, of course, disadvantages we have as a small landlocked country with no resources. But we have strategic advantages that could be leveraged. And there's so many missed opportunities because of misappropriation of funds or the misprioritization of budgets. And these are short-term things, like I just told you when I said about my own vehicle at the council. These are things that mature people can listen to and said, yes, for the longest time we have seen politicians preach one thing, but we watch their actions in office and they just seem to be enjoying with their families. So we are starting to cut through. Our message is starting to get to the older folk, where they said, okay, we believe there's something here, And I think the best guarantee in politics is term limits, is the ability of countries to self-correct. And the only ways countries can self-correct is through term limits. The beauty of America today is you can have the greatest president, and you can have the worst president after that, but that worst president will soon leave, and the country will remake itself.